You're watching the Coaches Roundtable on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. From Butler High School, home of the 2020 WPIAL Championship Boys Basketball Team, this is the Coaches Roundtable. I'm Ed Codi, and with me, the head coach of the victorious Golden Tornado, Matt Clement. Matt, I don't think for the rest of your life you'll ever get tired of hearing WPIAL champions.
I was just thinking when you said that, that sounded really good. Before we get started, I want to make sure to say I want to thank you and the Coaches Roundtable and the Butler Eagle and John Henrietto for providing a platform for all the sports around here. I don't think the people or the kids realize, I think they take it for granted sometimes. I remember, I got lucky to go on and play professionally afterwards, and the interviews I did with like Jim Morandini and the Butler Eagle when I was growing up were really instrumental in me knowing what to do when I got to that point in my life. And I don't think enough gets said. We do the interviews and we leave, but the platform you guys have provided is really awesome.
Well, thank you. We're honored because we have like 4 or 5 championship teams in our area, and it's a pleasure to cover them all. Matt, how does this compare? You have a World Series ring from the Boston Red Sox championship. Come back to your hometown and win a championship here with the basketball team, a team that you played for. How do you compare the two?
I actually, people ask me what this felt like compared to some of the baseball things, and I said pretty equal. I mean, almost better. And I think it's because of the sense of the community pride. It's a lot harder when you're not in control of what's going on the court, like making the plays or doing the stuff. And I guess when I got the job, you want to try to build a program and hope the program can get to do something as great as Saturday night was. And the program, it's the players, it's all the youth coaches over the years, Coach Cooper and all the middle school coaches, they all had a hand in what happened on Saturday night, and the kids did it. Everybody else had a hand in developing it and believing in it, and it takes a lot of loyalty, a lot of trust, and it's just really exciting. I'm so happy for the city and just to see all the people there, and kind of still haven't. The awe of it still hasn't completely got over yet.
Matt, let's go back. I said to you last week, but I think you have a team of destiny to go back to the the Pine Richland game here that you won in overtime, 88-84, when it looked like Kyle Pulse had put in the winning basket at the end of regulation. It jiggled back out. And then the other game you had down at the Pine with them, another terrific, exciting ending, 68-63. And then you go to the playoffs, and there you have Peters Township. And a lot of people kept saying, it's going to be a breeze. I said, hey, it's playoffs. Anything can happen. And you go into double overtime against them. They missed the layup at the buzzer to win it. So at some point you have to think, man, we must be a team of destiny the way things are going.
I'll take it however we got it. The one thing I think about all that stuff, and I feel like you go back and you think about your experiences in the playoffs, and there's always a play or two that either help you or hurt you, and you just never know. And I knew I hated the Peters Township draw because I know Coach Goga so well, and I know their style could have gave us some trouble. It did last year in the tip-off tournament.
Big physical team.
Yeah, and just and he's not afraid to do something different either. And that's what you kind of hope to me in a playoff situation, you hope you go with somebody that's like, hey, this is what got us here. This is what we're going to do, because you can prep for it. But I knew that Gary, I didn't know what he was going to give me, and I think that the schedule, there's always this argument about how good your schedule is and what you do and everything else. And I remember sitting with you like 3 months ago when we did the pre-thing, and it was right after I found out about Luke, and I was really worried because we had a pretty loaded up schedule, and now I didn't have Luke, and I was worried about how we were going to get it figured out, and I think you run the risk of that schedule burying you and you lose confidence and don't know how to win games, but you also run the the thing that can happen is you start to learn how to win in those tight games, because we were in tight games all year. We knew our section was going to be tight all year. And the other thing that I knew coming into this is whether we deserved to be or not, we were going to be the team everybody's hunting for, mostly because of Ethan and because we had everybody back. And we knew that Luke was a big loss, but the perception was still it's Butler and they have everybody back and they have Ethan and all these other kids that are really good coming back, So there was a lot going on that really made it different, that we had to handle situations we've never been in before.
Well, let's go to the Upper St. Clair game after the Peters Township and that double overtime. You go to the Upper St. Clair game. It's one of the best games I've ever seen. And you dodge a bullet at the end, 40 seconds, you're down by 5, and a key rebound there by Mason to feed Ethan and tie the game up, and they missed an open shot there at the end. And once again, when the games are close down the line, I don't think you have to say anything. The ball gets into Ethan's hands.
We've been pretty successful with him getting to the foul line and taking control of the ball late in games over the 4 years he's been here. And it's harder to take it out of his hands this year because Devin's really stepped up as that secondary scorer and sometimes the first scorer. And so it's a little harder to take it out of his hands because then you're giving a free line to somebody that's as good offensive player as there is in the Whippeal. And it's just – the Upper St. Clair game was another coach I'm really good friends with that actually helped me a lot when I got the job, and a lot of families in that have kids on that team are friends of mine, personal friends of mine. So that was another kind of weird situation, tough matchup. I knew since my son and going through Ethan and my son in elementary school that Upper St. Clair was going to be one of the teams to beat if we got a chance to do this, Ethan's junior and senior year, because I knew the talent that was there. And unfortunately, we ended up on the same side of the bracket, of course. And it was tough because they play so physical. They're so good and strong and athletic, and I really think the schedule and it built up a little bit of mental toughness for us and really helped us. I'm surprised. I'm even surprised. I'm proud, very proud, how we handled ourselves being down less than a minute, down 5 in both those games, and figured out a way and didn't panic and didn't lose our mind, and dealt with people trying to hold the ball against us and different scenarios that we probably wouldn't have done as well of the last couple of years.
Well, the Mount Lebanon championship game was like a breather compared to those previous two. Let me say this, not to diminish the efforts of anyone else on your team, but the backcourt duo, the scoring combination of Morton and Carney, it's one of the best I've ever seen. I'm going back to the days Willie Somerset, Brian Generalovich at Farrell, Joe Montana, Ulis Payne at Ringo. These guys, you scored 231 points in the postseason. They put up 165 of them. They're averaging 55 a game as a backcourt. I don't know if you have to go back a long time in history to find a better backcourt.
Yeah, and they complement each other really well. And, Devins is as natural and pure a scorer as it's come through, and especially off the dribble in a long time. And we all know that Ethan can hurt you in many, many different ways. And it's been and like you said, not to diminish anybody else, it's a little easier to stop those two when the other 3 guys can't do anything. But fortunately for us, we have 4 or 5 other guys that have scored 15 or more points in games multiple times this year. All of them. 3 of those other guys, Charlie, Mason, Rain against Mount Lebo here, and Maddox have all scored, 15 over 20 in points in some games. So that makes it really hard to say, okay, we're just going to take those 2 guys out, because you're dealing with some other kids that know what they're doing. And it's a credit to the whole program, and it's really made it really hard to deal with 2 really talented guards.
All right, let's go to Chapter 2. PIAA tournament starts this week. You have Central Dauphin. They're 22-6 down at North Allegheny, and a chance for you to take a Butler basketball program to a place it's never been, the state championship game at Hershey.
You think about, I think about for the 11 years I've been here, I've talked about changing numbers on those 2 banners up there, and then we finally have done it. And I was actually thinking there isn't even another banner up there for the other one. And we were going to talk about that a little bit at practice today. But, it's got to be a one game at a time approach. We've taken that all season long. I talked after the game about how we kind of I tried to downplay the significance of the Whitfield title just because I felt that was best for our team. I didn't want any extra added pressure, and I knew we could do it. And trying to get to the last game 20 games in advance is not going to help you. There's a lot of games. You have to win 5 games, I believe, to do this. And there's a lot of games in between. We're going to take this one game at a time. We really didn't get any favors getting a 22-6 team that I think got upset in their district, so they probably should be higher ranked in their district. But it is what it is. We haven't played any easy teams all year long. And, I expect it to be a home game at North Allegheny on Saturday with Central Dauphin having to travel so far. But they're a very talented team and very similar to Mount Lebanon, Upper St. Clair in their style they like to play. And fortunately we're prepared for that style. But we've also prepared all year long for when you have somebody like Ethan, you've prepared for anything that somebody might throw at you. So I feel like that's one advantage we have. We're prepared for a lot of ways, and we're also prepared to defend a lot of different ways also. So, I try not to get ahead of myself. It is the ultimate goal to get to Hershey, but we're going to take this first game and move on to the second game. Hopefully, if we can win and move on one game at a time, and hopefully make this even more exciting for Butler.
Well, Matt, once again, congratulations to you and your team on the championship. Look forward to the state playoffs, and we'll see you down at North Allegheny.
Thanks again for everything, Ed.
I'll be back with Ellen George. I am back, joined to my right by the Swami George Abraham, to my left the Tiger Albert Campman. And guys, I guess it's only appropriate after the interview with very happy Matt Clement that we start off Spotlight with Butler's WPIL championship win, their first in 29 years and their third since 1915. Going back, look at the spread there this time. Wow. 29 years before that. That was a long, long stretch from 1915 to 1991. I said before, this is a team. They should be dubbed Destiny Rides again. No doubt. A season where they had 3 overtime wins. You thought the win over Pine Richland that we were fortunate enough to do 88-84, and you started to think that game, Kyle Pulse had the layup in regulation, looked like it was over. Pine won, popped out. Then you go to the playoffs against Peters Township, a 78-76 overtime double overtime win in which they had a chance to win it in regulation and blew the layup. And then against Upper St. Clair in overtime, 76-71, Upper St. Clair with 40 seconds to go. They make 1 out of 3 foul shots. They could have iced that game. And then Morton scores the last 5 points. A big key rebound by Mason Montag. Upper St. Clair had a clear shot to win at a 10-footer by one of their best shooters, and he missed it. So at some point you say, this is a team of destiny. When you're good and as good as they are, and you get some breaks like that, somebody up there likes us.
Good way to describe it. They continue to get that. They continue to get key baskets at times they needed them, so I give them credit for that. My greatest joy that and I watched that game on stream, was Matt Clement gave the greatest hugs I've ever seen in my life after the game. It was true, unbelievable joy. A lot of times it's relief. His wasn't relief. His hugs were, this is the most exciting moment I've ever had. I really like that.
Yeah, outstanding. I mean, like you said, and that's everyone has a game, national championship, some championship where you need a little luck. And that's fine.
3 overtime wins in this season, a championship. The likelihood of that happening again, there are greater odds of an alien spaceship landing downtown Butler in the next 100 years before you have a season like this again.
I like the chance for that alien's Morton getting out of the ship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those two guys, and I've been around and old enough to have watched Brian Generolovich and Willie Somerset, that 1-2 punch, and Joe Montana and Ulis Payne. But these two guys in the playoffs, they scored 165 out of Butler's 231 points. They averaged 55 points a game as a backcourt.
Well, when you're Division I players, that's what's supposed to happen. And I want to make that clear to the fans watching. When you hear somebody say that's a Division I player and he averages 14 a game, scratch it. Morton definitely is. And Kearney's heading for that in direction. That's the way they play.
And in the championship game, almost like it was a breather, but you thought, how's Butler? They come out like gangbusters, took a 20-6 lead, led 42-30 at the half, and then everyone said this is going to be a rout. I said, hold on, this is a good team. And Mount Lebanon came storming back, scored the first 9, and I think the key basket of the game, Matt Clement hit a three-pointer, gave him a little breather. They got close again, 47-44, and just ran out of gas. They had their 2 runs, and that was it.
And Matt Clement did a very nice coaching job, changed from a 2-3 zone to a 3-2 zone.
Yes.
Just changed the tempo of Mount Lebanon. They weren't sure. They didn't know how to attack it. It was a good coaching move.
You know, any one of those 3 teams along the way could have beaten Butler, but there you see in this team, of course, led by Morton, there's great will to win.
But I like what you said. We had a key basket from, what was the kid's name you said?
Maddox.
No, that was one. It was one before that. The game before that, you said he made a big play. I can't remember what it was.
Rebound. He got a
Mason Montag got the rebound.
Yes, that's what it was.
Hit a big 3 down a pond,
he did.
too.
Yeah.
Was he the
Yeah.
lefty?
Huge 3.
Was he the left in the corner?
Huge 3 down a
He
pond.
so he did, Maddox's basket was the whole key basket of that game.
Key.
Carney took off in that first half, scoring 20-some points.
He was unbelievable.
So they had all the way through. We know how good Morton is, and so let's be stupid us not say that. But the rest of the team stepped up also.
Yeah, there isn't a spot, we've said this numerous times, in that floor from any angle that Carney can't make a shot. And he goes up over 6'4" guys and challenges them.
He's a scorer. You know, sometimes there's shooters, like the Maddox kid is. He's a scorer. He can score left. He can score pull-up jumpers. Can shoot off the dribble really well. He's a scorer.
He gets his own shot.
And I thought
That's the
outside
name
of
of the
Butler, the best team out there was Upper St. Clair.
I told you that.
Big, strong.
Told you how good they
They
are.
play again in the
team.
second round?
Yes.
They get now.
They
Talking about that, the PIAA opens up this Saturday, this Friday, and Butler has a chance to go where no other Butler team has gone, and that's to Hershey. They will take on Central Dauphin, 22-6. Central Dauphin has 8 players between 6'2" and 6'7", so they're going to have a nice, strong team that they'll bring against Butler. Other than that, I don't know much about them. But they won 22 games.
Well, George knows the leagues really well. He told me they come out of a good league,
Well,
right, George?
No, they're in with Harrisburg High.
Yes.
So you need
So
to
you didn't
know.
know
Did they
right there.
beat Carlisle during the year? Because Carlisle's usually good.
They haven't been real good, no.
No, not lately.
No, but they're in the same league. Altoona's in that league. That's it. It's not an easy game. Now, they're coming 4.5 hours. That helps.
Yeah, it's a backyard for Butler
Yeah,
down at
yeah,
and
sure.
a familiar place up North Allegheny.
Sure.
All right, let's move on to 5A. Laurel Highlands stuns Mars 52-51. The Planets miss a buzzer beater layup to win the game. Laurel Highlands freshman Rodney Gallagher had 24 points. He made the 2 foul shots. It was 51-50. He made them both with 4.8 seconds left to deny Mars a 3rd straight WPL championship.
Yeah, that game turned on the elbow. I mean, Mars had complete control of it until that occurred, and it went from a 5-point game all down to nothing. You know, one play in a game turns it around. It's why you got to emotionally keep your head in the game. You have to do it, and I think Mars is a dangerous team coming out as a 2. Very dangerous team coming out as a 2.
And that kid, someone was there said the foul shots never moved the net. They were just clean as could be.
And that
I hear
kind of
nothing
boys-
but good
Another
about
5-star,
him.
right?
I hear nothing but good about him, Gallagher.
We know in these games down the wire, the foul shooting,
Oh,
just tremendous.
or a lot of coaches sitting home.
And I'm gonna tell you, I've watched enough of these games, and the girls are outstanding foul shooters.
They're better.
Yeah,
They are
They're
really
better because
good.
they lock it in and don't use their body. They're better free throw shooters. They
Guy
really
said
are.
at the meet today at lunch, I said, no, they're better. And he said, why? I said, they don't elevate when they shoot and they're locked in and they have the ball here instead of some
They get
crazy
nice,
place.
a nice
Exactly.
arc-
Yes,
arc-
they really do.
Exactly.
They do.
Carmody finished with 14 points and 17 rebounds. I forget. I think he had 55 rebounds
Dominating player.
through the playoffs.
Dominating.
And Chris Dvorak had 14. Next up for Mars, 19-5. They take on Elizabethtown, 19-9. That will be Friday at Valley High School. And
Now
speaking-
there's a ride.
there's
Elizabethtown is past Harrisburg.
You know, and I was going to say, what happened to the days when we were kids and younger when it was really East versus West? The lines are blurred anymore
let's speak matters.
because of the 6A.
Well, there are 20 schools Butler size down there.
Yeah.
I can't fill that bracket out 16
Yes.
all. It's not
That's what
fair.
it is.
No,
Yeah.
when you go to the 6
Yes.
What was-
divisions.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's even
Right,
worse.
right,
yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
bad there,
But
yeah.
at the 4 was just as bad. They just realized when Rendell got in, first
Right.
they let Philly in. Secondly, someone looked and said, wait, there's 16 teams. The Whipper used to get 7 or 8.
In those days when Farrell played Chester, and
Right.
it was truly
East-West.
East-West.
Oh, boy, yes.
And here's the thing: the PIA playoffs. It's a 5-game gauntlet. You can't have a bad. You can't even have a bad quarter.
Well, they're
on
going to
that
put
run.
Butler
That's what
on a
it's supposed
bus
to be.
and send him to Abington, or they're going to put they're putting this team on to come play Mars. Mars is going to Valley. They're 40 minutes the other side of Harrisburg.
Wow.
I scrimmaged them in college, Elizabethtown.
In for a Highlands 72, Balvernon 54 in the championship game. In the semi, Balvernon denied Newcastle another trip to the championship game, 56-46. Mike Wells 20 for the Canes. Next up for the Canes, 17-8. They take on Hickory, 21-4 Friday at Farrell.
Hickory's the
That's Slippery
favorite
Rock.
to come out. They play at Slippery Rock.
Slippery Rock.
They play at Slippery Rock.
That's it.
Is it Slippery Rock?
Yeah.
I thought I might have misread that.
No,
at
no.
Farrell.
Here's what happens. Newcastle's fans dictate where the game's played. Farrell's too small.
But they originally scheduled that for
They had been
Farrell,
talking
and then
about
they
it.
switched.
Absolutely.
Okay, but the paper, I believe, had Farrell written down, and then it
Wow, they
switched.
asked them why. They said the amount of people. See, they have to be hosted District 10 because they're a winner. Newcastle's not.
Not, yes. In the 3A title game, North Catholic 65, Lincoln Park 56. The Trojans' first title since 2016. It's their 4th overall, the first for Coach Dave DiGregorio. Isaac DiGregorio had 19 points. Jackson Pascal had 14. Next up Saturday, they take on Westmont Hilltop, 19-7 at Kiski. This is a terrific North Catholic team.
You know, I laughed the other day. I think you said it. Did you say that's their first title since 2016?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Like it's a long time.
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting for him to
Oh,
say
yeah.
since 1930.
Yeah, what have they been doing? Yeah,
Well, I mean, the last one was 2016.
I had to make sure I asked that question.
No, I heard
Well,
that.
I wanted to say it that way because DiGregorio, this is
Yeah,
his
it's been
first.
a while.
I got you.
3
Yeah.
years. How about no? You know who got the Shamoogle? Freddie. You know who he plays?
Who's he playing?
In
Oh,
this,
But we're going to get to them. We're going to get to them. We'll
Yeah,
get to them.
yeah.
In the 2A title, Olsh 81, Stowe Rock 72. Next up for Olsh 24-1, they will take on Youngville. And,
oh, jeez.
And yeah, I know.
Oh.
Well, but just wait.
They taking whooping coach?
You have more odds here pretty soon. In 1A, in its 87th and final season, Vincentian Academy 63, Cornell 51, the 4th title in school history and the last for Vincentian. Angelo Reeves had 12 points, 17 rebounds. 3 Vincentian Academy players will be looking for a new home next
If
year.
they go to North Catholic, just put the banner up now. Do 2 at a time. It'll save you getting up in the ladder.
Well, you would think they're going to go. It's what? They're like 15 minutes away.
I know.
here's a story I'm hearing. Inside scoop. Wherever the coach gets a job,
Oh, there you go.
they're
They're
going with him.
No.
And it's
There's
There's
your
a
high
head
school
job.
basketball
Okay.
at its finest.
That's what's going to happen. Yes.
All right, next up for Vincentian Academy, they're 3rd in the state, by the way. Butler's 3rd in the state. North Catholic's 4th in the state. 21-4, they take on AC Valley 16-9. AC Valley District 9, they defeated Johnsonburg 71-65 in the semis. They got 30 points from Levi Orton and 24 from Eddie Stevenus. And in the championship game, they lost to Elk County Catholic 46-16. Elk County Catholic is number 2 in the state. They lost 46-16. Now they're going to
Vincentian?
play Vincentian.
Well,
Yikes. Well, they don't guard. That's the only thing they got going for them.
who doesn't guard?
You know, they'll just they won't care if they beat them 80-39.
Oh, Vincentian
Yeah.
guards like crazy.
Yeah, they're in
I
trouble.
don't know if they're going to
Yes.
score 6.
No, they might not score 60.
That's what-
How
no,
good is
Vincentian-
Elk County Catholic? They're on.
They play that style.
They're on a collision with Vincentian Academy.
Vincentian's better.
You're-
I talked to my brother about him. Vincentian's better.
So you're going to have 2 of the top
Yes,
4
right
ranked
there.
teams.
And they're
in
both
the state.
champs, so the
They're
game will
both
be in the
champs.
middle. You don't want to play them at Clarion. That stinking AC, whatever. What are the names?
AC Valley.
No,
Elk
Elk
County.
County.
Elk County.
You don't want to
Catholic.
play them
At
at
Clarion
Clarion.
University.
No.
All right, let's go to the girls. 6A, North Allegheny won its 3rd title in the last 4 years, 54-50 over Bethel Park in overtime. You talk about foul shooting. Bethel Park made 8 in a row there down the stretch. Last year, North Allegheny lost to Peters Township, undefeated state champs, 46-42 in overtime. Leading the way for the Tigers, Lizzie Gresh with 19 points. For North Allegheny, it was their 5th straight championship game appearance. And like Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I'll be back. They should say we will be back as they return 4 starters for next year.
They are truly the one team that wins with defense every year. their scores are always lower
Yes.
scores than other people. They win defensively.
They return Gresh and Paige Morningstar, two of their top players.
Yeah, but sometimes the girls' game is funny because sometimes like one ninth grader somewhere you don't know about can make all. Usually in the guys, the ninth graders are not going to tip the balance. Sometimes with the girls, the right one can.
Next up for North Allegheny, 22-3, they take on Manheim Township, 19-8. That will be Friday at Sewickley. And 5A, Chartiers Valley rolls along their 55th straight win. They're 25-0. 58-40 over Trinity. Brother Tim McConnell defeated sister coach Kathy McConnell.
I got a kick out of Tim McConnell saying that they gave us bulletin board material. That's why we won.
What is
Try the best players in the WPL, Mike. Tell me why you won.
Well, what did his sister
Jeez,
say?
man.
When I'm not
No,
inviting
it was
you
the game
over
before
for
that. It
Thanksgiving.
was the game before that when they played Thomas Jefferson.
my.
They said that they get bulletin board material. Did they ever win a game for you, George? Eddie, did they ever win a game?
No.
I never saw anything in the paper ever made my team win a game.
In 4A, North Catholic Trojanettes led by Emma Pospisil's 18 points. She's been unsung hero for this team. They won their fourth straight WPL title, 61-44 over previously undefeated Southmoreland. Kylie Lewandowski with 14, Tess Myers with 13. The 20th championship in school history. How many has Coach Molly Rotman been a part of?
How many?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm going to say
okay.
half of them.
Plenty.
Maybe
Playing-
half of them.
playing
Now, wait a
coaches.
minute. Think
Playing
about the
coaches.
team. You got two big-time ones, and your leading scorer was someone else. I like your team.
Yeah, I like this girl. She's going to a smaller school,
Yeah.
but we've
Like
watched
she
her
can't
over the
play,
years.
right.
Either
Done
Ursula
their
or
game.
Baldwin Wallace. One of those two.
She's going to, I think it's
Yeah.
Ursula.
Ursula, okay.
She's
But I mean-
just a terrific
Oh,
guard.
absolutely. And those other two are big-time
Do you
players.
understand how Southmoreland feels? They built for this team.
That guy had no idea.
He
Yeah.
came in thinking.
You know what he said?
we're-
He said, yes, he goes, that's not us. I said, no, that's you.
You.
No, that's them.
Yeah.
And-
exactly.
And now, interestingly, next up for North Catholic, 24-1, they have the third meeting with Freeport,
Oh,
17-7. That's at Kiski. Now, how about this
Told you.
about Freeport? Now they
That's
lost.
who they drew.
Yeah. Let me say this about Freeport. They lost the quarterfinals 54-52 to Southmoreland, a team that beat them in December 63-26.
Real big
A
improvement.
Great job by Coach Fred.
Right, Freddie,
Yes.
guys, but there's some in a 32-team bracket.
Has to
They
be.
could have moved somebody,
Somebody had to
so
move.
they don't play a team
That
from their
stinks.
league.
I know
it
that-
stinks.
They pre-what?
Didn't they have to carry you out of there one year
Yeah,
on that?
so did. They did carry.
Yeah, I remember that.
I broke 17
I
chairs.
told him. It's wrong.
Yeah, no question.
Hey, in 3A, your buddy Mohawk 44, Beaver 26, a two-team
Number one,
split
we got you right.
during the regular season. The first WPL title for Mohawk. That's always exciting to get your first. Next up for Mohawk 22-3, they will take on United at Newcastle Friday. Beaver 21-4, they take on Northwestern.
And just real
on
quick, if
Friday.
you're a basketball fan, the doubleheader, the other game's Bellwood. One of the top players of the United States plays for Bellwood. She's a 3,000-point scorer going to Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's true.
If you like girls basketball, that's your night.
Yeah.
And in 2A, Bishop Canterbury, they won their fourth title in 5 years, 50-41 over Laurel. And in 1A, the Rochester Rams, they win their second straight title, 59-43 over West Green. Jasmine Mack with 15 points. Rochester, 24-1. They'll be back. They return 4 starters. West Green, 24-1. They return all 5 starters for next year.
Rochester and Kennedy Catholic heading for a
Yes.
showdown.
Next up for Rochester, Otto Eldred, 16-8. That'll be Saturday. And Girls District 10, 5A championship. Grove City finally turned the table.
Birchie.
Birchie.
And Chris Birch, congratulations, 52-41 over Slippery Rock, the first title for Grove City since 1993. Becca Santum, 20 points for Grove City. Anna Kadlubik, 15 for Slippery Rock High School. Next up for Slippery Rock, they will take on Hollidaysburg, and Grove City, they'll take on Woodland Hills.
Yeah, good game. Grove City, they had lost 18 straight to them.
How about that?
Is that right?
Yeah.
And in Girls District 9 3A Championship, Brookville 64, Montauk 58. Haley Pry with 16, Abby Rotman 15, Kristen Onville 14. Montauk finishes 11 and 12. We have all the wrestling and swimming results to give you throughout the area, but we've run out of time, and we will give those to you next week, along with all the champions in swimming and wrestling from this week's finals. That's it for us. We'll see you next week.